Right, welcome back everybody, and this is now where we have moved from across the road. That was from the side of the street in the parliamentary precinct, and we've now moved inside, and I'm sure you recognize this from the State of the Nation address. This is where the President did the sonar, and this is the temporary structure that has been put up. It's called the Dome, and that's where the Finance Minister is going to be delivering his budget in a couple of hours from now. You may recognize this. This was where the former president, Nelson Mandela, this is the structure that was used for his funeral. And this was built up in the Eastern Cape. And they decided, well, this is what they're going to use as a temporary structure for Parliament until we start seeing some progress on the Parliament across the road. So this is where you'll see things happening today. But of course, we're still continuing to get the expectations and the reactions from people of all walks of life here in South Africa. So I want to take a little bit of a look at the youth, and I think a great way to do it is talk to Clotilde Angelucci, Advocacy Campaign Youth Capital. That's where she is from. So it's going to be quite interesting to hear your perspectives in terms of the youth and where you feel the priority should lie with the Minister. Thank you for being with us. Talk to us about your expectations.
So yesterday, Stats SA released the unemployment stats for Q4 or 2024, and that really confirms that youth unemployment is a growing crisis in South Africa. I know that on the news there's been like a celebration of marginal drop in unemployment rates, but if you look at the real percentages, nothing has changed for young people. So 6 in 10 young people between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed. And there's also been an increase in young people that are not in education, employment or training opportunities. So we're really hoping that Minister Godongwana focuses on the different aspects like tackling and funding the projects that can promote youth employment in the country.
What are we looking at? So if we have to look at some of those programs that you honestly believe can make a difference in the youth's life, what would they be?
So research all over the world, and especially in the global south, has shown that public employment programs definitely have the potential to make a dent into unemployment percentages, not just because they're working on skills development of young people, but they also bridge the connection between young people, and work experience and the private sector. But in order to do so, we really need to make sure that these work experiences are well designed and funded and in the medium to long term. So we saw in the last year's budget, the Minister Godongwana cut the funding for the presidential employment stimulus, which created over 1 million job opportunities for people across the country since 2020. And because of that, we missed 200,000 work opportunities for young people. So we really need a financial commitment that then will allow the program to really focus on the design and then pathways with the private sector. Because it's not just that by promoting skills development will solve the crisis. It's like unemployment is definitely like a crisis that's driven by systemic challenges. So we need to look at the supply side of young people and the demand side, which is where's the private sector at? How can we create jobs?
Yeah. And that's I think what it seems to be the voice of everybody right now. How do we create those jobs? And one of the other issues, besides the job creation, which I think is top of the agenda, it's also the issue of education in the youth. Firstly, you look at the state of some of the schools that kids are forced to learn in, and they're not conducive to learning, and we've seen many of these. Then, of course, you move into tertiary education, and just up the road from us, there have been mass protests that have been taking place at the University of Cape Town and other universities around the country. There's no accommodation. They cannot accommodate all of the youth that are hungry for a better future and a better education. What's your standpoint on that issue?
So what we're seeing with education is really the impact of further budget cuts. So budget cuts to NSFAS and budget cuts to grants to TVETs and universities, right? But we know, research shows that inequality and income inequality can be addressed by educational attainment. So we should, again, focus on how we providing young people with the right skills that the market needs. We know that a matric anymore is not going to is still going to make young people vulnerable. And this is what also Stats SAS confirmed yesterday, that graduate unemployment is still lower than people with any other secondary institution. So it's also about those signaling to young people the skills that we need. So we've seen that UJ and WITS and University of Cape Town receive 30 times the number of applications that they can actually serve for first year. So again, why don't we diversify and look at our TVETs and our vocational and technical stream?
Listen, we're watching very closely the focus on the youth. Thank you for talking to us here on the program, and good luck with all of the work that you're doing. That's Clotilde Angelucci talking to us about the youth. But I want to move my attention a little bit to this direction. I'm going to ask you to come closer. It's so nice to see you, Doctor. Thank you for coming in. I know we were going to chat in the previous hour, but I know that you've arrived now. Dr. Patience Nombeko Mbava, who's from FFC. Thank you. Come on closer. Step into my office. Thank you for joining us, and thank you. Looking forward to hearing your views on this. So let's talk expectations. What are you expecting from the Minister today?
Yeah, so I think from the Financial and Fiscal Commission's perspective, a key concern for us is the escalating fiscal debt of the country. I think at approximately 75% of GDP, it's really unsustainable, and it's got a huge impact in terms of our developmental agenda as a country. What are the key drivers of this debt? We must ask ourselves. The key drivers are the state-owned enterprises bailouts, number one. The key drivers are the historical borrowings that we've had as a country that are now becoming due. We call them bond redemptions.
Yes.
Those are becoming due now, so we have to pay them.
We have to pay them back.
Right. The mushrooming wage bill is also a key driver, a huge line item on the budget. And also the debt service costs. So the interest we pay on the debt. So if you have to explain that to my child or to my mother, I would say that the health budget is below what we pay on the debt. So we are paying about 400 billion rand annually on debt service cost. That is huge compared to the budget of the health.
And that's getting us nothing. I mean, this is debt.
Exactly.
This is debt. This is
Yes.
interest on a loan we've taken. And South Africans are not necessarily benefiting from that. If you had to take 400 billion
Exactly.
and build hospitals and schools, then you benefit.
And also, what is making it worse is the fact that when we go to market to borrow this money, we are borrowing at huge or high interest rates.
Yeah.
Why? Because our rating as a country is not good. Because we are not seen as investment grade. So our sovereign rating as a country is very poor. So what we need to do then is to demonstrate that we have what we call fiscal consolidation. We are reducing the debt. So we've seen in the last financial year that we had a small surplus. That means that our expenditure was a little bit less than our revenue. So we call that a surplus. So we need to maintain that surplus every year to kind of show to the lenders out there and to the rating agencies that we are actually having a handle, or we are doing a proper cost management. So we have fiscal consolidation. We have fiscal prudence, in other words. So we must maintain that, because when we do that, it means that now they will review our credit rating and improve our credit score. When we go to the market, we can borrow at better rates at least.
Better rates. But again, it's the borrowing, and it seems that there are very few other avenues that we can do, because South Africans are not working, they're not earning money, the economy is not growing how it should be. So we are not creating a bigger, wealthier nation. We're creating a poorer nation, and this is where the big problem comes in. I also want to talk about that. We haven't spoken about it the whole morning, is the public sector wage bill, because the finance minister is finding himself in a very difficult situation now, because we're sitting with that 5.5% increase that may or may not happen. He's been very strict on the public sector. But something's got to give, because you see food inflation is higher than what the minimum wage is. And how is that? It's not livable. So how is he going to balance this?
It's going to be about trade-offs. Ultimately, the minister is going to have to say that what is a priority, what is important. We cannot do everything as a country. When it comes to the wage bill, we really need to look at the numbers in detail. Yes, there are different views. Some say no, actually the wage bill is not as big as it should, is not as big as it is claimed to be. But we have to say maybe public servants need to identify themselves. Maybe we have ghost workers. Where is this salary bill going to? Who is actually under the employ of government? Maybe, people must come and identify themselves, and then we can say, yes, this is a true figure. Because right now, this amount of money is just mushrooming and mushrooming year in, year out. It's uncontrollable.
Yeah. And we hear stories all the time about what you're saying, these ghost workers, people being paid and they're not working. Thank you for talking to us. I like the way you've put it, and that's what's important, is that people understand at home what this budget means to you, and it's an important aspect of everyday life. It affects your pocket and my pocket. It affects everything about your life. So that's this afternoon, the budget, and thank you so much to Dr. Patience Nombeko Mbava from FFC for giving us her expectations.